Right, I know this video is going to improve your game. This is some content that I've shared with my online clients. I'm going to be covering all aspects of the game. Make sure you subscribe. This playlist is going to cover everything from driving to how you should practice to short game. So make sure you hit that button and I'll speak to you later. Right. Morning, afternoon, evening subscribers. Hope you're well. I've had a few of you mention this, but I know my friend Marcus in Trinidad has asked for some chipping, so I'm more than happy to go through that. Now, firstly, there are two schools of thought. Get really good with one club, and then be so good that you can manipulate what you're trying to achieve, whether it's a high one, a low one, etc., with one club, or have sort of one consistent action that then can be changed due to whatever you've got in front of you. So, for example, there's no flag on this little chipping green, so I'm using the yellow pole in the background. Hopefully you can see that. I've got a sand wedge in hand. I quite like chipping with a sand wedge because of the bounce. Now, I can only use the bounce if I'm in a fairly decent place where I've got a bit of grass underneath. If you are on a very hard packed dry area, then you probably don't want to use a sand wedge at all because the leading edge of the club is actually off the ground. So we need to make sure that maybe we're using something like a lob wedge if you have one, or a pitching wedge. When it comes to chipping, I think what you have to understand is that we're not setting it up or setting to the ball like we would do normally. So if I was going to hit a full sand wedge, for example, can I just make sure that you can actually see me? Oh, I'm a little bit off there. Let me move you a little bit. There we go. You would have thought I would have done that before pressing record, but clearly I didn't. So if I was going to hit a full sand wedge, I'm having the ball in the middle of my stance, my feet are shoulder width apart, and I've obviously got like the club fairly flat on the sole of the club, so we've got this sort of lie angle. When it comes to chipping, I need to reduce as much power as I can in the setup. So I'm going to firstly make the shaft a lot more vertical and stand a lot closer to the golf ball. I also want to feel that I'm bringing my feet a lot closer together, because that sort of takes out the need to really be shifting pressure back and forward. There's not really going to be any movement of my body in terms of pressure shifting. I do like to have my hands a little bit ahead, but I would do that in a normal situation. But I would definitely feel that I've got a little bit more pressure on my lead side. So from a face-on perspective, this would be in theory my normal full sand wedge position. I'm going to get much closer to the golf ball with my feet quite close together, probably like club head gap. Ball still in the center, hands slightly ahead, pressure slightly on the left side. Again, I know there was a sort of an old school way of chipping where you sort of put the ball back in your stance, hands massively forward, and obviously that does have a place, but what that does, and why I would advise against it, is then you're really presenting the leading edge. Now, that leading edge is therefore going to dig into the ground, and unless you strike it perfectly, you're just going to stab the ball into the grass, and it's going to go nowhere, it's going to go in front of you. So it is easier to have a bit of forgiveness where that might glide through the grass, which actually means you can not be as precise with your strike and still sort of get away with it. So from a face-on perspective, I do grip down as well, get a bit more control, and again reduce a bit of power out the shot. And then from a stroke perspective, I'm trying to feel a nice equal tempo with every chip that I do, regardless of what club's in my hand. And I do like to feel that I'm sort of nicely connected with my elbows to my side, and that my length of backswing and length of follow through match up to a point. I do like the follow through to be a little bit longer. I like to see some acceleration. What I see a lot is that the player goes back too far and then thinks, oh crap, and then slows down, and then you get so many missed strikes. And quite often we see the hands taking over, the wrist taking over, where the club head then passes the hands, which again presents the leading edge. You get those chunks, you get those thins that you don't want. You want to feel as if you're sort of leading with the grip and then rotating your chest towards the target. Rotation is very important because you need to feel that you maintain that relationship between the arms of the club. If I don't rotate my chest, then you get that sort of strike on the way through. So from it down the line, we should be hopefully seeing just a nice smooth action, bit of pressure on my left side, and then it's just nice and I rotate on the way through. So I'm feeling that my chest is turning as I'm going towards my target. And you'll notice even in my little practice swings, I'm really not taking much of it. I'm really not taking any sort of divot. I'm more sort of brushing the grass. Now, I would have used a towel at this point, but it's so windy today. I'll just use another alignment stick. What I was going to say, when it comes to chipping, we get very target focused. Now, all I should be really concentrating on is where I want to bounce the ball to start with. So in theory, my landing area, which then is my focus, and my reaction to how much of a swing I'm going to do. Now, it's obviously going to be different for different clubs. As a very, very basic understanding, and obviously this is very dependent on ground conditions, uphill, downhill, speed of the greens, how soft the ground is, etc. I would argue that a sand wedge is nearly 75% of its journey in the air and 25% roll. A 9-iron would be about 50-50, and a 7-iron would be like 75%, so 25% air and then 75% roll is what I'm trying to get at. So you can use that as a very basic principle that, okay, if I've got this sort of shot, I need to fly it 75% because I've got a sand wedge in my hand, and then it's going to roll for 25% as a rough guide. I would say, greens are quite fast here today, so I'm probably going to go a little bit further than 50%. Practice perspective, I think a towel is great, but it's really windy here today, and I hope that obviously the audio is not too bad. Maybe I need to purchase a microphone. But what I'm going to try to do is feel that I chip, bounce the ball literally on the alignment stick that I've just put on the floor, and then understand that it will release. Now, ball nicely in the centre. Couple of key thoughts. Do not try to lift the ball up in the air. If you're trying to lift the ball up in the air, you should be using a different club with more loft, or, and I'll come to in a second, I can open up the club face a little bit. So, land on the alignment stick, 50-50, just a nice little brush of the grass, and then it will roll out and go straight in that hole. Okay, didn't go in the hole, and I didn't hit the alignment stick. So you could see that obviously it flew it too far, and that's why the ball's rolled on too far. So just my general swing, I like the technique. Just got no touch or feel from lack of playing. Right, let's see if we can land on that alignment stick. Oh, that was good. Oh. Landed pretty much next to the alignment stick, and obviously it's very close. So yes, well happy with that. So if though, I was going to use a 7-iron. Now, to be fair, all these day and ages, everyone wants to lift up in the air. I grew up hitting a 7-iron. I never used a sand wedge when I was growing. Everything was just chip and run. If you're not overly confident with your chipping, and you're not overly confident with keeping that nice connection of the triangle that we make and not using your wrist, grab a 7-iron. If you can. Obviously, it depends on the lie. Now, I don't have much grass between me and the green. I want the first bounce to be on the green, so that's quite an important factor as well. There's no point bouncing it in the fringe because you get a very unpredictable bounce. Now I need to readjust my landing area to be maybe 25% air, 75% roll. I'm literally going to go. Can I go there? So, I'm literally just going to try and bounce it just there and let it release. Now I can see another hole, so we'll see if I can miss it. But again, same sort of setup, feet nice and close, pressure a little bit left, ball in the centre, tiny bit of shaft lean, turn towards my target as I go through the shot. Don't allow my hands to be too active. And then it's just going to be a much, much lower shot with a lot more roll. A little bit too much roll. But, and this is what I want to show you actually, the beauty of a 7-iron is if I miss-hit it, it will just go pop, 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 and it will still roll quite nicely. So let me purposely hit the top of the golf ball. Okay, not quite what I wanted. But you get my idea. The other one that we don't often see apart from on telly occasionally, and they have obviously practiced this, and this is something to practice beforehand, is a hybrid. I'm not sure if it's like, I don't know, you don't want to look silly using a hybrid from around here. It's a great little club. It just becomes a putter. So obviously a hybrid, I'm probably now even off the camera, but you know, hybrid I'm much further away. So I get really close. I would even hold it in a putting grip. And it's just like, you can't go wrong. It's not the prettiest of shots, but it's effective in the right situation. If you've got to go over it, I think you've got absolutely no chance. But if you know, you've had a few chunks on the way round, and you know, your confidence in your chipping's a bit low, there is nothing wrong with just grabbing a little hybrid and just playing it like a putt. It's the second best one of the day. But I'm saying that is a really, really good option. A couple of little potential training points that you can do. Helps with strike and helps with your control. Because one of the other things that I do see quite a lot, as much as I talked about the wrists, is a lot of pressure moving incorrectly onto the right side. So I've got two beautiful drills. I would even recommend doing with a pitch shot. So this helps your tilting, keeps you forward, keeps you very centered in terms of your swing, making sure. So I've got a sandwich in hand, I'm going to get my trail leg out of the way, and now I can't tilt backwards, because if I tilt backwards I therefore lose my balance. My right leg is doing nothing apart from a tiny bit of a balance point. But it really works on getting that strike that you're trying to achieve. I keep chipping it off the green on the other side. If I tilt, then I'm going to lose my balance. And that's obviously one of the effects of tilting. The other one which I quite like doing when it comes to chipping, and again, I've probably sent you something very similar with our full swing work, is the alignment stick up the lead side. I have to be careful what I say, because I've got a few lefties in the subscription, guys, so I have to be trail side, lead side, other way round. Okay, I like this, because this stops that. So if you've been working on your full swing, you may have had this drill from me in the past, but again, it just means that I have to turn and lead with my hands. Scoopy or flicky, then I'm going to feel it down my lead side. That was better. I'm not going to hit any more chips. Right. Firstly, I hope I'm in shot. Secondly, thank you very much. Obviously, I always appreciate the support of all my subscribers all over the world. It's amazing. And I hope this helps. So this is just very basic. Again, I will say it, if you want me to look at your chipping individually, which I know some of you that have sent me some chipping actions, I'm more than welcome to. So, you know, this is just very generic. If you have a certain question or a certain request, then let me know. Because if it's something that I can film and content that I can then send out to all of you. I know some of you have, in the last couple of days, mentioned about firm bunker shots, a few other chipping techniques, etc. So I will get round to that. It's obviously now with that yellow thing is sort of here sometimes in England. I'm obviously at the golf course a lot more often, which means I can do this sort of stuff. Apart from that, many thanks. Hope you have a great day. Speak to you all later.